Alright, so we're going to start on our Google Maps application. We're going to use the Angular 2 Quick Start that we've been using. So this is the GitHub page. I'm just going to grab the git clone command right here, copy that, and I'm going to go to my projects folder. Okay, so let's paste this in and let's get rid of that, and we're going to call this mapit. Okay, we're going to cd into the mapit folder, and I'm also going to add it to my text editor. Alright, so here's our application structure. Now we're going to want to run npm install. That'll install all the dependencies that are in the package.json file. Now we're also going to want to install the Angular 2 Google Maps package. So we'll say npm install Angular 2 Google Maps. Alright, now let's go ahead and do npm start, make sure everything's okay. Make sure it starts up. Okay, let's open the console, and we have no errors. Now what we're going to do is we need to open up the system.js.config.js file, and we're just going to add the Angular 2 Google Maps to our packages right here. So let's go right under the Angular 2 in-memory web API, and we're going to put in Angular 2 Google Maps. Alright, and then let's open some curly braces and say default extension JS. Okay, save that. And then we're going to go to our index.html and go down right under the system.js config script, and we're going to open up a new set of script tags, and we want to point to the node modules folder / Angular 2 Google Maps / bundles / Angular 2 Google Maps.js. Alright, we'll save that. Now we're going to go into the app component.ts file, and let's go ahead and include the Google Maps directives. So Angular 2 underscore Google Maps underscore directives. Alright, and that's going to be from Angular 2 Google Maps. And /core, that's right. Okay, and then we're going to add that here in the directives. And then we're going to add styles. Okay, let's put some backticks here so we can use separate lines. And we're going to use the class sebm-google map container, and we're going to set height to 300 pixels. Now for the template, I don't want to use inline code here. I want to use a template URL so we can have a separate page. So let's replace this, and we're going to replace it with app.component.html. And in order to use relative paths, we just have to add module ID right here and set it to module.id. Okay, we'll save that. And actually in the app component right here in the class, let's set lat to a number. And I'm going to set it to a default. Same thing with longitude. And let me just grab that. Alright, so I'm just setting it to Northern Massachusetts. You can set it to wherever you'd like. Okay, we're going to save that, and then let's create the HTML file. So app.component.html. And we're going to put in sebm dash Google Map. Here we'll put the latitude, and we're going to set that to lat, and then same thing with longitude. We're going to set that to LNG. Alright, we're going to add a lot more to this later on. So we'll save that. And now we're going to go to main.ts, and we need to include the Google Maps providers. Alright, so let's go right here and say import. Oh, it should be caps. So Angular2 underscore Google Maps providers. So it's going to be from Angular2 Google Maps / core. And then we need to include that as a second parameter. There we go. Okay, let's save that. And you should now see a map and no errors down here. And depending where you set your latitude and longitude right here, your map may look different, okay, if it's in a different area. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to implement Bootstrap. So let's go ahead and go back to our command line and do Control-C, and we're going to use Bower to install Bootstrap. Okay, so we're going to say Bower init, and that's going to create a bower.json file. We're just going to click enter for all of these. Alright, and if you don't have Bower already installed, then you just want to do npm install Bower, and you want to make sure you have the G flag for global. Alright, so now that we have our bower.json file, I'm going to create a new file in the root, and we're going to call it .bowerrc. Alright, so this is a config file. I just want to specify where we want our Bower files to go. Alright, so we're going to have an object, and let's do directory, and the directory will be public / Bower components. Okay, so let's save that, and let's create a folder in the root called public, and then we're going to go back to our command line and we're going to say Bower install Bootstrap. And now if we look in our public folder, we now have Bower components with Bootstrap and jQuery. It sets up jQuery because it's a dependency of Bootstrap and the Bootstrap JS file. So now what I want to do is I want to grab a nav bar. So let's go to getbootstrap.com, .com and go to Getting Started and Examples, and then the starter template, Control U, and let's grab this here, copy that, and then we're going to go to our app component HTML. I'm going to paste that in here. Project name, we'll change that to Map It. Going to get rid of the list items. We don't need a menu. And then I'm going to get rid of this class navbar fixed top. Okay, and then down here I'm going to get rid of the starter template div, and we're going to create a row div class row. Alright, and then in here we're going to have a column, so we'll say call MD12. And then what we'll do is grab this, okay, we're going to cut that and then paste it right in here. Save it. Let's take a look. We have to start the server back up, so we'll say npm start. Let's see, looks like Bootstrap isn't being loaded. Let's do a Control U and check it out. Oh, I didn't do it yet. I didn't put it in the index file. So let's open index.html and go right here and say link rel equals style sheet, and then href is going to be public / Bower components / bootstrap / dist / css / bootstrap .css. Okay, that should do it. Alright, now the reason this looks kind of weird is because we have our style sheet called styles CSS in the root. What we're going to do is just get rid of everything in there and save it. And now we have a Bootstrap navbar. Alright, let's add a class around the map as well. So in our HTML, let's go right here and say div class map. Okay, then we'll go back to our styles CSS file and say .map, and we're going to add padding 5 pixels, and let's do border 1 pixel, gray solid. Alright, so that looks a little better. Alright, so in the next video we'll start to we're not going to actually work with our local storage yet. We're going to just hard code the markers, and then we'll set that up and we'll go from there.